Hi everyone, welcome back. I hope you are well. I'm going to show you my process for making whipped body butter for my small business. If you are struggling with making your body butters, I'll share some tips and tricks that I use when making my body butter, so that way I get consistent results every time I make my body butter. So I'm going to share that with you. So let's jump right in. And if this is your first time stopping by, my name is Esther and I make DIY natural hair and skincare videos. I'm going to spray down my work area and wipe my surfaces before I get started, and then I'm going to begin by melting my butters. So I usually use shea butter and mango butter, but if you're using a hard butter like cocoa butter, you want to melt that first before you add your shea butter or any other soft butter that you're going to be using. So always melt your hardest butter first, then add in your soft butters. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just going to melt down my butters. Once melted, I'm going to weigh out my carrier oils. So my plant oils that I use are sunflower oil and apricot oil. So when making my body butter, I never heat up my carrier oils. I only heat my butters to melt it down. The carrier oils are already in liquid form. They don't need any extra heat. I'm aware that people heat everything up together, but this is my method of making my body butter. So I'm just stirring in my melted butter just to make sure everything has melted, and then I'm going to add in my carrier oils. You can use any combination that works for your recipe. I like to use lightweight plant oils. So now I'm just mixing everything in, and then I'm going to cool this oil mixture in the fridge or freezer. That's one way to avoid your body butter from becoming grainy. You want to cool this down. Of course, I don't place it in the freezer right away. When I take it off the heat, I will let it cool down for just a little bit before I add in my plant oils. So I left my mixture in the freezer longer than I intended. So you want to watch out for that when you're making your body butter. You just want to have the surface of your mixture solid, but you want to have the oil, the liquid oil at the bottom. So mine was completely solid, but it was still soft. You don't want your mixture to be too hard when you start whipping. So I'm going to whip using my hand mixer. You can also use a stand mixer. I use both. It just depends on how big of a batch I'm making. So I whip for about 5 to 8 minutes the first time. And while mixing, you want to also scrape down the sides of your bowl just to make sure everything is well mixed, everything is well blended. So when whipping your body butter, you really don't want to overmix. Of course, you want to end up with a nice, fluffy, light consistency, but you don't need to whip for an hour or, double whip or triple whip. I mean, you can if you want to, but you really want to watch it when you're whipping. I say anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes is more than enough when whipping your body butter. So I'm just mixing, checking everything, checking the consistency, if it's something I like. But it all comes down to your recipe, the amount of hard butters to your oils. That percentage will determine that consistency. So this is what mine is looking like. It is on a lighter side. I don't really like a very thick body butter consistency. Here I'm adding some arrowroot powder to help cut down on the greasy feeling of the body butter. and I'm just mixing it in. You want to do this on low so the powder doesn't fly everywhere. So basically, when I've gotten the consistency that I like, then I'll add my vitamin E oil, my fragrance or essential oil. You never want to add your vitamin E oil when your oil mixture is hot. So I'm adding that now. I'm adding in my vitamin E oil, fragrance oil, and I'm just going to mix for less than a minute just to blend everything all in, and then I'll be ready to move on to the next step. So I'm just getting my containers ready. My containers have all been sanitized, and then I use a piping bag to transfer the body butter. You don't have to use a piping bag. You can scoop the body butter directly into the jars, but I find it easier to do it this way. And then I usually will tap down each jar just to put as much body butter into these containers. So that's just what I'm going to do until I fill up all my containers. So some body butter recipe guidelines for you to try. You can try 80% butter to 20% oils. That's going to give you a harder butter that you can pipe really well. Or you can try a 70% butter to 30% oil ratio. That is a happy medium, and you will also have a firm consistency, but it's not going to be as hard as the 80% ratio. Another ratio you can try is 60% butter to 40% oil. You just have to play around with different recipes, percentages, until you get a recipe that you really like. That's just the only way you'll find what works for you. And that's pretty much all the tips and tricks that I use when making my body butter. I use them consistently, so I pretty much have the same results when I make my body butter, and this is what it's looking like. I currently have 35% off on my website on my body butter, soap, skincare as part of my end of year sale. If you want to check that out, my website link is in the description box. I hope you found this helpful. That's just pretty much everything I do. Next thing I'll do, I usually will wipe down my containers. I'll put the lid on, and then I'll wipe down my containers with some rubbing alcohol before I put my labels. I hope you enjoyed this video and my tips and tricks. Please don't forget to subscribe if you've not, and also please turn on your notifications so you don't miss any new videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.